Let me see, who was it? Who's that drummer? Who's handsome? Right. Where were we? What was I saying? I can't remember. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Hello, everybody. Hey, boys and girls. Welcome to this Modern Drummer video blog. What we're doing today, I have been blessed to make the front cover after, gosh knows how many years. It's been an absolute joy to have done an interview and finally make the front cover. So this is like a little enhancement of that. So welcome here to my Legacy of the Beast drum set here on Legacy Tour. Okay, you see the black gong here, because we've got 3 realms in this set. So this is set for the war zone, which is, it's not set stage wise for anyone to see right now, but when you open the show, we've got a cathedral in ruins. I'm behind a camouflage. You don't see you see the top of my kit, but you don't see all this wonderful artwork, because it's supposed to be representing the inside of a cathedral that's been demolished through war. So we put the black gong up because of the black hardware for that. So people can see the top of this gong and they go, oh yeah, okay. Once the camouflage comes down, we've got there's a stained glass window, and Johnny painted the gong. It took him forever. He's done 4 gongs for me over the years, and his artwork on metal is unsurpassable. You've got to see it. And even when you see it close up, it is magnificent. By the way, it's a Sonar SQ2 9-ply medium shell. They're about that thick, 1/4 of an inch. In the old days, my shells were 5/8 of an inch thick. All this modern technology, boys and girls, what can I say? It's a light, for crying out loud. Setting your drums, boys and girls. Take it from me, I'm an old git, right? And I've had to change my configuration of my drum set because of, as you get older, things happen in your body. When you're younger, you might think you're okay. You go, oh, these old farts. If you want a long career, you've got to save early to put the money in the bank early. All these years I've played this large. I used to sit really low. Right? I've gone up. You see the angle of my leg? It's got an angle like this, right? That's where I used to be, horizontal. So you can imagine how I must have taken this drum stool up by probably 2 to 3 inches. So I used to be really low, and my drums were high and angled, and all the cymbals are pretty much the same height. This ride cymbal, if you look at the stick marking on here, over the years, before the Book of Souls kit, where I changed my configuration of my drums, I've flattened them out and I've gone higher to save my back, because I do have a lot of back issues because of the way I've played for so many years. This sticking pattern used to be, okay, imagine the cymbals in the same place. That's where it used to be. And I've actually just realized that that's how I used to play, where I used to play my cymbal all the time. Now, if you notice, I've taken the advice of my physiotherapist and my chiropractor and my partner, Craig Buckley, in the drum shop, and he said, bring everything down a bit, because then you're not stretching too much. So I've kind of lowered it down. So as you see, the sticking area is primarily here now. And it's an interesting point to note if you're a young drummer starting off, is once you've played what you set your drum kit, you very rarely change it. I've had pretty much the same setup since 1976, with the exception of I had 2 ride cymbals up here. I had another ride, didn't have this. This is a 17 Rude Paisty. Obviously it's painted. But I used to have the 22 and I had a 20-inch here. And they were higher because I had the bell, the bells were pretty level. You don't really change your drum kit as such, but it's interesting to think and try and imagine what it would be like playing your drum set in 30, 40 years' time. So it's interesting. Just, the point is the ergonomics of your drum set. It's pretty important. How you have your snare, how you have it, how the angle it's at, where everything is to be balanced. And you know, as I said, I'm sitting a lot higher than I have done forever. So it's the Book of Souls tour, the Legacy last year, and this one. I pulled the stall up, I flattened the drums out, I pulled the cymbals down a little bit, and this one is gone that way a little bit. So it encourages me more to play down. Right. So for instance, in Hallowed, I'll play up here, but when I play up on the bell now, I have to move forward a little bit. Right. So there, I'm not in balance anymore. So all my body's more on the right side. 6 of one, half a dozen the other.
So you've been playing with the band for years and years and years.
Absolutely, yes, long time.
And you've learned a lot being in a major rock band, being a professional drummer for so long. What would be some advice that you give to an up-and-coming metal drummer?
Okay, well, metal or anything. I mean, my the advice I have for anybody who wants to play drums is learn to play every kind of style of music's out there. To be a versatile drummer is the best thing, because what you do is you find your niche later on. After you've learned all your rudiments and you play some shows and you play with different bands. Great way of learning and getting your chops together is jamming with people. I'm a total believer in not worrying about making mistakes. When you jam with people, mistakes happen. It's when you do a full show like us, you don't want to be making mistakes, because that's what we're paid to not make mistakes, you know. But that comes through experience. Always play with different kinds of music. My father, when I first started, when I was 10 and a half, and they bought my first drum kit when I was 11. My old dad, he was a trumpet player, and before, you know, when he was a teenager, before the war started, the Second World War, that is, and he lost a lung and he had to stop playing. But he had the passion and the elements of a great musician within him. And he said to me, "Son, whatever you do, learn to play every kind of style of music. That's dance music, waltzes, foxtrots, brushes." I used to sit and practice with brushes. I mean, I haven't played a song with brushes in my hands in probably 30 plus years. I think the last time I played a song was with Streetwalkers in 1976. And it was a song called Gypsy Moon. And I'm, yeah. And there's another brush story later that I could tell you about, but that's a different story. But the best advice I've got is to practice every day and drive your mum nuts. But when she says, "Will you stop that tapping on the table?" Because we're always, then we get the cup and the spoon going on the crockery, right? And mum goes, "Will you stop that confounded tapping?" And then it gets to the stage where she says to my dad's name was Harry, "Harry, tell him," and he clips me around the back of the noggin. So you can get away with so much. Now, here's another word of advice for you. When you go to the bathroom, right? Right. So you're sitting in the bathroom. I've got my skivvies on, lads. Look, I've got my skivvies on. Right, you're sitting there. Right, okay. What are you doing? You're in there for a little while, right? Now, if you're in a bathroom like it's in a garage, you've got great acoustics. You can bang the wall with your left knee, and you've got two bass drums on the floor, and you've got the wall going. It's hilarious. People come up, "What are you doing in there?" "Hang on, I'm at the third verse. I've just got the chorus to go. I'll be out in a minute." Practice all the time. You don't have to have a pair of sticks in your hand, right? I'll get me. Sorry, girls. I know. Yeah, you want to see that again? Too late. You missed it. Too bad. You've got a rewind button, though, haven't you? So, practice is important. Don't have to have a pair of drumsticks. Put a pillow on the floor if it's driving mum and your family nuts or the neighbours. Put a pillow on, and you don't have bounce then. You know that's got bouncing going on a little bit, but you want to just get your wrists going, and so when you've got something that has no bounce to it, it becomes from the wrist, and it helps you strengthen up left and right. If you're a right-handed player, always start off left side first. If you're a right-handed player. Sorry, if you're right-handed, start left-handed. If you're left, start right. And that goes for bass drum techniques as well. So then, once you've developed your style and your own technique, yeah, we all steal and borrow and you know, use different bits and pieces. It's how you create your own rhythms and your own, how you speak with your drum set. Tuning is important too. Some people like a light head. I like a heavier head. I've got thick, long shell drums, and it works for me. You'll find what suits you. And you'll find eventually what your favorite style of playing is. If it's funk, if it's soul, it might even just be dance music. Metal drumming, it's different. Now, metal drumming is a slight difference because you've got to play harder. You play louder. There's a lot more dynamics on the top end. But when you've learned all these other, genres of music, you learn rudiments and you learn dynamics, which are very important. Now, people think there's no dynamics in Maiden, but I beg to differ. There are many. If a classic example, 2 Minutes to Midnight, there's a breakdown in the middle and it goes really quiet and it sits back and it's not full pelt all the time. So just bear that in mind. Stamina is a big thing. Don't drink before the gig. You can have as much as you like after. Don't take drugs because, believe me, it will knock your longevity at least in half. If you do want to have a puff and whatever you may suit you, do it after the show, never during, because you have to be totally compos mentis for that show and you need to give it 150% every night. The thing is with any band, any kind of music you're playing, there's no one man that's more important than the other. You always have to have a great front man, of course. With Bruce Dickinson, we've got the best in the world right now. And he ain't doing too bad for an old git, is he? He's going to love me when he sees that. No, he has to have this incredible power with an audience. He's got his voice to tell the story and sing melody. Sorry, I'm bashing the microphone. And sing the song. But it's the command of an audience that he has. I command my drum set. This is my domain. I know what I'm supposed to know what I'm doing behind this, right? So everyone in the band is on equal footing. No one man makes the band. In this case, Steve Harris formed Iron Maiden. He's a prolific songwriter who's written most of the songs of this band. Not all of them, but most of them incredible songs that, Greater Good of God, Sign of the Cross, My Lord. My favourite all-time song to play is Hallowed Be Thy Name. The iconic drum part of Where Eagles Dare, there's a lot of story behind that, as it was my first album with the band and first track opening album. And the story behind that, of course, they're all amazing. But when you play in your band, you drive together. Listen to what the guitar player's phrasing when he's playing his rhythm guitar. Listen to a couple of licks in the solo, which you might embellish. There's a classic in Evil, in the middle solo where Adrian plays. I do an accent with him, and he's playing a solo. And it's just this one part of the song that you go, I've got to accent what he's playing. And so listen, always use these. These are the best key. I know we were talking about advice for metal drummers, but this is for anything. And so you always have to have that joint passion. If you get in a band where one bloke thinks his shit don't stink, and that you're inferior or he's superior to you, take a walk. Find someone that doesn't have that attitude, because if you don't, leave it, it will never work. That's one of the other advices, that I've got for you. Going to the bass drum technique, I've always played with amazing bass players, and I'm blessed to have played for the last 36, 37 years with the top, best bass player of this sort of music in the world, boys and girls. And so we are the rhythm section. The bass and drummer are the total lockdown of the band. So if you're going to say, for instance, Where Eagles Dare, I could have done this. Right, but that wouldn't have, that's a disco version, by the way. That wouldn't have fit the bass player's going. So you can see where I thought that was a guitar line when he first showed it to me. So that's a guitar line. What are you playing? So the bass guitar dictated my bass pattern on the bass drum. So it became. Now there's a song called Wicker Man that we do, and the chorus, it's not, the bass player's not playing 16th notes, but I'm going. Right, that's really quite quick. Now the end of it, I'm literally, having a struggle keeping. Right, so I can't. Something stupid. I'll put a floor tom in there and break it up. So it's weird because you're thinking it's only like over the space of 2 beats maybe out of a bar going 1, 2, 3, 4. That kind of tempo. I'll get it on the clock. But so, and we're playing Wicker Man in the set. So after it hits the solo, we tend to move a little bit. We don't sit. I do have the clock, but it's a reference to start songs on. And if we've got different tempos in the songs, here you go, as you see, and I've got to turn him on again. So this is where he was there. So that's clicking away. I don't have it the volume on. So I just use it as a visual reference. So let's see, where are we? Wicker Man is 1, 2, 6, 7, 8. So that's a tempo of Wicker Man.
172.
That's quite, So I take 1 beat out and hit the floor tom, and just that 1 beat out of that speed lets your foot go, and it's very, very quick, very swift, but it helps you, really I'm supposed to, that pattern is all the way through those choruses. And it was a little bit up, but, so what I do when I'm playing, I keep my eye on that, and I think, okay, I've got a little bit quick, and that, and I can bring it slightly down with, and you can sort of rowl it slightly where the band aren't going, we slowed down. It's a natural, it's life. Music is an expression of emotion, and metal music is more so, it's a bit more aggressive, of course, but when Maiden play, we move in time. And we've plenty of songs I've said, lads, let's put it on the clock, and it just rares. It's just got no energy. It's got no life. And Steve said, we did it a couple of times last tour, and when we were practicing, and it's gone, that clock's wrong. Turn it off. But it's very important to maintain the groove and the feel and the essence of the tune. And most solo sections within metal music need to move a bit, because the way the guitar players play, they never play the same solo twice, very rarely. But they have the same structures within the solo. It's like when a drummer does a drum solo. Listen to the great Steve Smith out on Journey on the last tour. He was doing a solo every night. And he'd start off with the same kind of motif going into his solo, but he'd change it. He'd change it up. because it makes it what he feels. If he sat and thought, well, I played that same part I played last night, he's thinking too much about it. It's an expression of emotion. So that's to me very important. So the bass drum technique has developed, as going back to the original concept of where I was going with the bass player, it really comes from what the bass player's doing and what the song requires. I mean, I could have done it. Whatever. With a bass drum on a fucking, whatever, a quarter note, which doesn't drive it. And this will do what the bass drum's supposed to be doing. I could do it on the other somewhere, but it wouldn't be the same. So it's very important that once you make, and the other thing is once you've worked your parts out for the tune, stick to them as best you can. I mean, I always embellish, certain drum fills through live performances, but I'll keep the basic segue from one part to the next the same. Now, Number of the Beast is a classic example. I'll play that and I might play it on, and I might do my drum fill from this drum down, or I'll start over and I'll come the other way. But it's still the same pattern, right? You don't check. Don't do don't start putting Billy Cobham fills in, because the rest of the band are going to go, what the Kinnick's that? Anyway, there you go. So if I take my bass drum technique, let's just while we're talking about that. If you see, I've got a lovely DW 9000. I used to use Speed King pedals, and that's what ripped my feet up. So I used to have to wear boxing boots because they had a very thin sole. But this pedal, when I get it out the box, I take the spring and I tighten it all the way up. So if you look, when I push this against the bass drum, let it off, it rocks for a fair old while. Now that tells you that there's a lot of spring tension, because you need a lot of tension to get the head. We can all do this, right? Don't matter how soft it is or strong, we can do that. We're running. But in between each beat downwards, that's got to come back as quick as it's going to go forward. So you have to have a lot of tension. So this is why, and if you notice, most of us will play our pedals up around the D sign. That's where we get a lot of the power. A lot of the power comes from that top because we're giving it a good whack. When you get speedy, you want to adjust the fulcrum. Now, boys and girls, here's a science lesson for you. We know what fulcrums are, right? There's the middle of the fulcrum on that where you balance the drumstick. Right, hang on, let's get right. So if you add pressure to this, that goes up like that. When you want speed, you want to expand the length of the fulcrum. So you take your foot back on the pedal. The only problem with that is you lose dynamic on each beat. So you got to, when you're doing that sort of 16 note, one of those, I tend to slide my foot back a little bit and extends the fulcrum, so it gives me a little bit more speed than having it up the top. I have a bit more control when I take my toe and my foot back down here off the foot plate. See that? Oh, it's steady on there. So don't go down there. It's all right for the girls. All right. So yes, very important that you have the right tension on. Now for double bass drum players, it's the same thing. Now I'm a righty, so my left foot, when I play with a two bass drum, I haven't got the same power as I got from my right. So a lot of double bass drum players will tend to take the spring less, but it's best to have it a little bit tighter if you can. But I've got that maxed out. I'll take that back. You watch it; it'll be rocking forever. But because I've got such a great bass player, whittling all the notes, it makes me sound really good. There you go. Next question, please. I have, this isn't going to be something that all you guys out there can do. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be able to say, I need a little drum set in a room on my own so I can have 10 minutes, 15 minutes to warm up. Even if I was not at the age, the very lovely age that I'm at, it's like a good wine, mate, it ain't cooked. I still would need to, like 20 years ago, I'd come on the drum set and I'd fly off. But now I need to have a routine, 15 minutes on the practice kit. It's a 4-piece sonar, vintage kit. I just sit in there, one ride cymbal, one crash, hi-hats, and I'll go through Wicker Man, and then I'll play Where Eagles Dare, and I'll do a little drum solo and incorporate those things because I know I've got to get the footwork in. This hand needs to be going because this is, as you know, boys and girls, look, I've got a left and a right drumstick, by the way, just so you know. That's the right one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Got a nipple on the NC. And then this one, this is my left hand stick. If you notice, it's back end out. But the reason I play this back end, so see how the difference in volume between that? There's a little bit more power for less effort. So the only problem then is when you go. More power behind this one or a little less in that, but over time, because what's happening is there's a lot more wood this end of the stick than there is on the nipple bit, right? And this is all good for on your ride, a bit more bounce. You don't really see the difference in sound. You wouldn't want to play. I mean, sometimes when I'm playing an outdoor gig and I'm like struggling a bit and I can't really hear, I'm really fired up, I'll turn both sticks round. And one thing you've got to remember, here's a tip for you before we go to the next segment. Because I play like this, and there's a lot of other drummers that play buttoned up, you know, or whatever, and they leave their sticks on the drum set like that, right? For me, it's okay. I'll come back. I know exactly which one's which. You get somebody like, let's think about it, your singer who comes out, right? What's he do? He picks them up and he turns them around a normal way. So first of all, he complains because he gets a fucking splinter in his hand, right? Then, if I ain't noticed when I pick it up, I picked it up and he's used my drums. This is at rehearsals or something. Watch those singers, mate. Don't let them on your drum set. Give him his own pair of sticks. If you play with a butt end out on one of the sticks, right? Just make sure he's got his own. And then make sure if he does play, he don't put them back in your bag. So when you do pull one out, the next thing you know is you got a splinter in your hand. And believe me, I lost a week's worth of gigs in 1984 because I had a splinter in a callus that came from a drumstick that had no varnish on it. Where were we? What was I saying? I can't remember.
Practice and warm-up routines.
Practice and yes. So there, right. So
and you always use the butt on the left hand.
Yeah, I always do. I mean,
grip all the time.
Yeah, when I'm at home, sometimes I'll just miss. More bounce when you use the proper end of the stick. This side, you kind of get a bit more of a thud bounce, and it doesn't react as quickly as this one. So that kind of tends to make things a little bit more interesting. But for playing what I do, for keeping that back when I'm jamming and the boys want to hear my snare out front,
it's a bigger backbeat. With
it's less effort for more power. Right. The only drawback to it is the pinky. Right, when you're holding the stick normally, okay, there's your fulcrum. Right, you know what we're talking about on the bass drum pedal. Like I hold my stick about pretty much there. If you look at JB, Mr. Bonham, he'd held his stick down more in the middle. He had more control than having it back here. You see, does that make sense? Anyway, so when you're holding it and playing and you're driving, the pinky is usually wrapped around. These three fingers help get your bouncing going on and whatnot. So when I've got my hand on this stick, this pinky is down out of thin area. So now all of a sudden I've got a foot E stick or an E stick, a very skinny little jazz stick. So the problem then when you do get a little bit older and more mature, like myself, get a bit of arthritis in the whole finger and it starts getting to play up. So I may end up having to go up the stick a bit, which then really defeats the point because I don't get the fall from that power to that. So I get a bit more whack. Horses for courses. You find out there's no right way and there's no wrong way. People say matched grip is not the right way to play drums. You should play orthodox, right? Which is as I'm a right-handed player, I'm cack-handed, they call it. Like I play pool and snooker left-handed, right? I can't play right-handed. I can't play orthodox, you know. I can do that. It's impossible for me to do this the right way, right? Now, you look at a guy like Bevan from ELO, and he holds his sticks like that. Okay, yet he still plays really well. It's horses for courses. So don't let any teachers turn around and say, "Oh, you're not holding the stick right." Believe me, if it works for you, stick with it. Don't beat yourself up because you want to play orthodox. If you play orthodox, you've got to see my angle of my snare drum. I'd have to have that reversed. That would have to go the opposite way so I could rim shot. And the only reason drummers came about playing like this was in the old military bands that were calling soldiers to war when they would march, and they'd have a pipe band going down the road. And the guy used to have drums in front of him. And it was a bloody awkward to walk and play like this. So what the drummer went, I got an idea, let's shift it round here so I can walk all right. But now I can't get it, so I know what, I'll do this. If he's a lefty, he went the other way, right? There ain't no right way or wrong way. According to Buddy Rich, that was the right way. Sorry, that way. Sorry, Buddy. Got to disagree with you there. Right, practice. Mate, practice. Every moment you get. My routine is 15 minutes before it drives the band mad, especially if I'm in the room next to it. I'm going to break down. A lot of people have asked me to show them how to play Where Eagles Dare, which was the first opening track of the very first album that I played with Iron Maiden. And I'll show you how I played it, or how I play it. How I played it. Never the same. No, it has to be the same every night. And basically, okay, I'll play it. I don't have my clock, so let's see. Drift, right? So, okay, the intro, it's set in like a triplet format. Oh yeah. And what we did when Steve came up with the original bass line for it, I actually thought it was a guitar line, and I said, now I know what the bass is doing, what the guitar's doing. What's the bass? He said, that is the bass line, you soppy prat. So he said, I'd like you to do a big drum fill to introduce the actual rhythm. That's basically it, right? At slow speed. That's the rhythm of the verse. And he said, I'd like you to do a large drum fill. And I did something like something stupid like that, massive. I started up on the 6, went all the way down, came back. He's gone upstairs, half coat. Hooray, I'm ready. Came down, showed him the fill. We went, nah, too long. Shorten it. So I sort of went, something like that, right? I don't remember exactly what I played, but it was a stupid drum fill. And he's gone, I've called him back down and he's gone, no, it's still too long. I said, wait a minute. You asked me to introduce the song with a big drum fill. What else is there to do? He says, and he stood in front of the drum set and he goes, he said, oh, no. He said, let me play it. I said, come over here, put a pair of sticks in his hand. He said, show me how you play this, what you want. Well, I ended up giving him a drum lesson for an hour, and he still didn't get it. Anyway, he stood in front of the kit, and he goes, like, hooly bubbly, hooly bubbly, hooly bubbly, hooly bubbly. And I thought, well, okay, it's a triplet basis. So eventually it came up with, it's like a little flam here. basically. That's the intro. Okay, so we've got the verse groove going, which is the triplet. And what I found easier to play it, I only got the one pedal, so yeah. When you, instead of playing a straight 8 on the hi hat or 4, you play on the cymbal. You play it with the, and it helps you keep the bass drum back. Like you go, see what I'm saying? You can actually play around with what you were doing on the right once you get used to it. So then we go into the bridge section. Which is then a 4-beat on the bass rise. So it goes after it does the verse, chorus. It goes into this little bridge, little segue before it goes into all these solos. So and it's like. Second change in the rhythm, and that's really the only two major changes within the film of the track. So that is actually one of my favourite Iron Maiden songs to play, and that's pretty much the breakdown of the intro of Where Eagles Dare. Thank you everybody at Modern Drummer for allowing me to grace the front cover after thousands of years. As they say, better late than never, and they always leave the best till last. But I'm not last, am I? No, I hope not. But thank you very much to all you at Modern Drummer and all you wonderful fans of drumming and video blogging and all that good stuff. All I need to say to you is keep on practicing, keep your head up, never give up, because you're always as good as you know you are or as you know you can be. Don't let anyone get you down on it, especially the bass player. But please keep it up, keep practicing, face towards the good Lord, ask him for grace every day. And I'm telling you, by the way, if you have a look at that there drum, there he is. And the next one down there is a little Jaguar logo. Look at that lovely little kitty cat in there. You can't even see him. Never mind. Anyway, all the very best. God bless you all, and thank you so much for spending some time with me behind my lovely Legacy of the Beast kit. God bless. Take care. Ta-da. See you later.